Welcome, and thank you for joining me today. Today we will be covering the two things that matter in the game of Overwatch, the characters and how it matches up to my box of goodness. Now, if you want to skip the characters and get right into the review, I have placed a link in the description below so you may skip. But I've worked hard on this video with my boxy flaps, and I would very much appreciate it if you'd watch the entire video. Starting off the list today is Ana. She has a biotic rifle that has the ability to damage her enemies over time for a few seconds, as well as heal her allies. Her second move is Sleep Dart. This fires a dart that puts her enemies to sleep for several seconds. Her last move is Bionic Grenade. This throws a grenade that heals and increases the healing on her allies, but it also prevents the healing of her enemies, also while damaging them. Her ultimate ability is Nano Boost. This increases an ally's damage and reduces the damage that they take. This is very helpful for helping teammates survive, but also helping to make pushes in the game. Next, we have Bastion, which has two weapon modes, Sentry and Recon. Recon is a handheld automatic, while Sentry is a turret mode. He is unable to move while in turret mode. He has the ability to self-repair himself for a few seconds. His reconfigurability allows him to switch between turret mode and recon. He also has a passive that allows him to take reduced damage while he is transformed. Bastion's ultimate, tank configuration, allows him to be slightly less mobile, but with an extra punch, doing splash damage from a cannon that he uses. Bastion is best used in corners, protected behind tanks, and in choke points. As long as he can get the drop on the opponent, he can do damage. He is practically useless in an up-close battle. Next, we have Doomfist. His main ranged move is Hand Cannon, a short-range spread similar to a shotgun out of his left arm. His next move in a chain sequence is Rising Uppercut. This allows him to knock enemies into the air. His next move is Seismic Slam. He leaps forward and does smash damage to the ground, injuring people within the cone in front of him. His passive ability allows him to get short shields by dealing damage. And his main move is Rocket Punch. It is a charge move where he holds his right fist and launches it towards an enemy. It also knocks them back. If they hit a wall, it does more damage. Doomfist's ultimate ability is Meteor Strike. You leap into the air, and after a few moments of moving the circle around your opponents, you slam to the ground, dealing damage to everyone within the circle. Doomfist is best used as a flanking character or a surprise attack character. He is easily able to one-shot most enemies around the 200 health marker, and that's just with his Rocket Punch. He is well used when chaining his moves together. Using them separately can help, but they're not as advantageous. I suggest staying back and only wrapping around to the opponents on the other side. Getting behind them primarily would be the best move. Next, we have Diva, which has two fusion cannons equipped to her mech that allow her to fire continuously without the need to reload. Her second move is Boosters, which allows her to move into the air and use the momentum to carry her forward, as well as push and knock back enemies, as well as damage them. Her third move, Defense Matrix, allows her to put an area of a shield in front of her, which will absorb any bullets, ammo, or most explosives in the game. This is very helpful when you're trying to protect yourself or protect your team. She has a recent update ability, Micro Missiles, which allows her to launch a barrage of weak but effective missiles at the area she is currently aiming at. D.va also has the ability to use a light machine gun when she is out of mech. Whenever she takes enough damage that would have usually killed any character, she instead hops out of her mech. At this time, she gets the ability to use the light gun. The light gun, while frail, because she is without her mech, is actually pretty powerful. After a certain time limit or doing enough damage to your enemies, you can call your mech back. Please note that the bar at the bottom of the screen will show your current charge rate towards your mech, not towards your self-destruct. As soon as you hop back in your mech, you'll be able to see the bar for your self-destruct, which is her ultimate. She will eject out of her mech and set its reactor to explode, which will catch anyone not behind cover. This move is especially hated and extremely powerful. It is very efficient at wiping out entire teams if placed correctly. Most people will use the boosters to launch it straight into the air to maximize its effect and wait for it to blow. As soon as you are able to kill someone with your mech, you will instantly get a full charge to get your mech back to use your call mech feature. Once the mech is back, you can continue fighting. D.va is one of the most excellent tanks in the game. She is very mobile, she has versatility, she is very powerful, if used correctly. She is good at flanking, as well as pushing the front lines. However, getting too far back into the enemy lines will definitely cause you to lose your mech and probably your character. However, with her ability to call her mech back, she is very hard to kill. As long as you play it safe and smart, D.va could be a character that most likely will not die during the match. Next is Genji. Genji can use 3 shurikens, either in a straight line or in an arc. His next move is Deflect. Deflect can be used to send projectiles back at their opponents, such as bullets and even sniper rounds. This is extremely handy when you're getting sniped or when you're getting gunned down by a tank. Next is Swift Strike. He will rapidly dash forward, inflicting damage on the enemies he goes through. And if he gets kills, it will reset instantly. His passive ability is Climb. He can climb on walls and can also double jump. This makes him a very high mobility character, which means mastering him with good aim is very difficult. His ultimate ability is Dragon Blade. He pulls the sword out of its sheath. If you're looking at the head, you will do a lot more damage. This is used primarily to do maximum amount of damage to a group of people. Since Genji is a very high mobility character, it is best to stay out of most fights and dive and weave in and out. He is mostly used as someone to flank or sneak up behind the enemy. He is one of the most powerful DPS in the game. However, he is also very frail. His deflect move is used mainly to save him from this issue that he has. As long as you have good aim and good timing with deflect, Genji just might be the character for you. Next is Hanzo. Hanzo uses the Storm Bow. The longer he holds a charge, the farther and more power his bow will have. Most shots with this bow to the head are instant kills, which is why he is very popular among new and experienced players alike. His second ability is Scatter Arrow. Whenever he uses this move, he will split the arrow into multiple points, impacting multiple enemies or the same enemy, dealing more damage. Next is Sonic Arrow. This reveals an area where the enemies are at. If you shoot this behind a wall, and there's enemies behind it, you will be able to see them through every surface. Keep in mind that this AoE effect has a very short timer. His passive ability is Wall Climb, Just like Genji, his brother, he has the ability to jump and climb up walls. Unfortunately, he does not have the double jump ability, however. Hanzo's ultimate ability is Dragon Strike. He launches a deadly dragon spirit in a circular motion towards his enemies. It passes through walls and does damage to all enemies that run in its path. The longer you are in the ultimate, the more damage you are dealt. This is a very powerful and very widely used move. If you intend to play Hanzo, try to stay in the back of team fights and pick people off. Look for choke points, flanks, and using his ultimate behind the enemy team is always a good idea, as long as you can get out. His mobility is not as good as Genji's. However, with his wall climb ability, if used correctly, he can be a very valuable asset to the team. He is, however, also a very high accuracy demanding character, just like Genji. And just like Genji, he is also very frail. Experience and good aim will make this character a very, very good character to your selection. Next, we have Junkrat, a very good defense character. Junkrat uses the frag launcher. He shoots projectile explosives that blow up a few seconds after launching. They also bounce off of walls and around corners, if used correctly. They are also extremely good versus shields. So, if you're looking to counter a tank, this may be your character. His second ability is Concussion Mine. This is used primarily as a way to do two things. To knock yourself back or up into the air, or to throw into the face of a very low health enemy, such as Tracer, Genji, or Hanzo. Most of the time, it will result in an instant kill, if detonated close enough. His next move is Steel Trap. Steel Trap is usually placed with a landmine inside. As a side note, whenever you use Steel Trap and someone steps on it, it will alert you and it will also show you through the wall until it expires, during the time that your opponent is in the trap or are unable to move. His passive ability is Total Mayhem. None of his explosives do damage to him. However, when he dies, he will drop a round of explosives on the ground. This is especially handy if you're fighting a low-level character that walks over you, or you're fighting in a team and you die in the middle of the team fight, doing extra damage to all the enemies in your area. Junkrat's ultimate is Riptire. This move has caused a lot of fear and panic from the words that he says right before he launches it. Riptire will leave your character vulnerable and standing still. However, the controls allow you to make the item jump as well as detonate it early. However, if enough damage is dealt to it directly before it reaches its target or before it is detonated, it will blow up and not do damage to your enemies. Keep this in mind if you are spending a long time getting it to your opponent, or if you're not turning quickly around corners with it to surprise your opponents. An effective Riptire is always one that is unseen until the last moment.